Hello and welcome to the September 2020 Trustlines community call. We are joined here by Andreas. I'm Tadu. I'm the communications and community manager at BrainBot. And yeah, do you want to introduce yourself, Andreas?
Yes, thank you, Tatu. So my name is Andreas. I do project management related topics for BrainBot that is related to our contribution to Trustlines.
So, uh, without with some recent developments of the community, I wanted to mention the uh, governance model for Trustlines blockchain that we are now asking the community to give your input. You can do so at the Trustlines forum, which is forum.trustlines.network, and you can read more about it there. And we really would like some ideas from people. The current model has been very uh, simple, but if people have better alternatives or ideas, we would really like to hear from those. So, um, Andreas, you had some topics for the call.
Yeah, I'm just gonna really quick post the link to the forum in the chat. That should be it, right? Yes. Okay, perfect. That's the right link, right? Should be the right link. You still there?
Yes.
Okay,
Which chat
nice.
did you post it to?
The YouTube chat.
All right. I don't see it there.
Interesting.
I will post it there. Okay, so let's go
Okay,
ahead
good.
and move on.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
finish
But
the-
I can also show it. I'm going to share my screen, okay?
yeah, yeah.
This. So as Tacho mentioned, this is the governance forum post. Please give us some ideas of how you want the governments of Trustlines to be shaped or look like. As it says here, currently it's the foundation mostly provides suggestions, and if the validators and the community doesn't have anything against it, these changes will be updated and implemented. So for today, I'd like to, it's not too much that we have regarding updates, but I'd like to make sure that you guys are all aware of the documentation that we have, especially around use cases. So if you go to the docs.trustlines.network page and you basically go into the section of use case, you can find currently two different use cases that we elaborate on and explain how they look like in a daily life and what you can actually do with them. And also simple explanations on how you can basically use these use cases in the app itself and then use the app to fulfill these use cases. So currently we have the concept of time credits and time banking, and we have the concept of bill splitting. If you go to the time credits, you'll find a bigger section on what is time credits, what is time banking, especially what the current problems are with centralized time banks, and also what Trustlines can give you as an alternative and why Trustlines is a good fit for time banks. If you read the concept of Trustlines and people-powered money, a lot of people always assume, since we're using mutual credit and we phrase it in a way that it says people trust people and people create trust lines with other people based on trust, they think that you cannot have centralized models in this decentralized network, but you can actually have star-shaped communities within trust lines that are connected on the borders with other people, allowing more interoperability between communities, people itself, and also different projects that have the same underlying value that they transfer, for example, time. So if you go to a table of content, you can see the different scenarios in which you can use time banking. The easiest and most common one is probably the peer-to-peer decentralized time banking, where you only have two people that have a trust lines with each other and they interact on a daily life. So in this example, it's Andy and it's Sam, and both of them have some service that they can exchange with each other, and they take an hour of time of the other person. So a lot of people would ask, why do I actually need this? Because if it's a friend or a family or person that I trust, we exchange hours on a daily basis. I do something for him, he does something for me, and you don't really need technology to track this. You're right, but think about the advantages that you could have when you track it in a way that you can then also take services of people that you might not know, or you don't necessarily trust so much that you would, do something for free for them. And that's where this decentralized connection of the trust lines has its power, because you can profit from trust lines that you have with people that you trust. And by using the multi-hop, the rippling that Trustlines has, you can even get services from people that you don't trust, all with the power of Trustlines. We have some examples of how mutual aid groups can use trust lines in a time bank. So you would have a centralized time bank organization that has members, in this case, Dana and Beth. They would have a trust lines with the time bank itself and then can exchange with each other. Then we go into the example of what happens when you actually have a person outside of the time bank wanting to exchange with somebody in the time bank. And again, here with the power of trust lines, since Dana and Andy are connected, you can use the multi-hop and the rippling feature. We have an explanation of how volunteer groups can reward their members, spinning then further, also explaining how businesses can actually work together with these social projects, volunteer groups. In this case, we have a theater that says, I have free seats every month, and I'll just give an X amount of seats to this time bank and allow the members that have positive hours there and do stuff for community to exchange these hours for a movie theater ticket. Up until where you can also, exchange hours for coffee, or you have a scenario where you then have businesses offering other services to the community members within those local time banks. It's a good read. It should explain the basic concepts of everything. The problem with time bank, there are so many different use cases and scenarios that you can actually use, so we couldn't write all of them, and this just gives an example. We also have the section of the bill splitting, and bill splitting is something that, when I talk about Trustlines, is one of the most common things that people actually use it for, and also talk about why they think Trustlines is really interesting, because when they go out on the weekends and I don't know, go out with friends, they do this bill splitting, and this is then basically an overview of how you can use Trustlines for bill splitting, how the connections would look like, what advantages the credit clearing again has for people in your connectivity circle, for what scenarios you could possibly want to use it and can use it. So yeah, would love to have feedback on these. If you think these are helpful, or if you think something is missing, you should text us in Telegram or in the forum or in Twitter. You can expect to have more documents of this type coming. Yeah, to give you guys a better understanding of what Trustlines is and how you can use it.
Yes, and of course, if this is the docs has a lot of more of the content. If you want to get a short overview of the time credits, we have a blog post at the Trustline blog as well, going through a shorter version. about this as well.
Yep, there it is. Just wanted to support your saying by sharing the screen.
Yes.
And also the presentations, right? Like there has been a lot of change and a lot of content being uploaded on the docs pages. So any if you guys need presentations, you can download them. You can download the people powered money slides. You can download the protocol slides.
Yes, and if anyone is all at any time interested in presenting trust lines at a meetup or anything, just get in touch with us, and we'd be happy to help out with whatever you might want or need for that as well.
One thing that a lot of people asked in the Telegram group the last month was, how do I actually convert TLN to TLC? And we actually wrote up a guide now to do this. It's a very simple process. That's why we never prioritized it in the past. But if you want to convert TLN to TLC, follow this guide, and you should be able to do it very easily.
Yes, and as a reminder, the TLC to TLN isn't as straightforward, and there's no easy way of doing that.
No easy way in doing that. You have to find someone that works with atomic swaps. Yeah. Cool. Okay. There are any questions, Tatu, that we can answer? I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Yes, we have one question at the forum. So we always post the community call with a link and everything at the forum ahead of time where anyone can go and post their questions for the AMA session, which we will do in each community call. And this time, Farsad has asked, why didn't you use the native ETH currency for fees rather than introducing a new token? I think your custom token may be a hindrance for Trustline's mass adoption. So I'll quickly answer the first part of this, which is the fees and Ether do not really comply with the mission of Trustlines, where financial inclusion, low fees would be acceptable. So um, on Ethereum chain, the fees, especially lately or at times, tend to go really high, and it's not feasible to do hundreds or thousands of trust lines creations and transfers because of the fees would get in the way of actually using trust lines as it is intended. Anything you want to add to that, Andreas?
Yeah, I mean, just the base concept of how the Trustlines app currently works is that people don't pay for transactions, but the delegate actually does. So if the delegate would have to pay ETH transactions for the transactions that the users in the app have been doing in the past months, I'm pretty sure that would have been really expensive for him. So given the fact that ETH is so expensive, I think it would actually have killed the concept of having a mobile application working without transaction costs in a cryptocurrency. So that actually, in my opinion, actually fuels the adoption. I think to be fair, the mass adoption part was definitely a concern, because if you create your own blockchain, it's always okay. So why should I use this? Or now I have to buy tokens to go onto that chain, and that's why we also did the Merkle drop, where the foundation basically gave away 40 million TLN that you can convert to TLC to hundreds of thousands of ETH addresses that have been active within the last up to the creation of Ethereum. So if people are interested in using Trustlines, using the app, they don't need to have cryptocurrency at all. Only the people offering the service of the app and the delegation service. But if people are also interested in using Trustlines as a blockchain to deploy a use case or application that follows the motivation of the Trustlines Foundation to have financial inclusion, then there is a high chance that people can get these tokens for free or up to nothing almost. Yeah. That would be
Yes.
my response. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully, Farzad, that answers your question. Um, right now, we don't have any other questions at the forum or at the chat.
Okay. Mm, then maybe something regarding the Merkle drop, since we mentioned it in the Telegram group. We had the information about someone wanting to claim TLN and receiving a message from MetaMask that it cost them about $200 to claim it. So this should only be shown to a user that wants to claim tokens again, since the transaction cost would then be quite high because it goes through the contract and then the transaction fails, or the transaction itself doesn't fail, but the claim function fails. So if you did not claim your TLN yet and want to claim it, it doesn't cost $200, at least not yet, depending on the ETH transaction gas cost. This might change in future. I don't know, but you can also cap the gas that you send with the transaction just to be 100% sure. And you can join the Telegram group or look at the Telegram group. Com gave a detailed answer how you can actually do this. And you can just claim it also via Etherscan. You don't have to claim it through the Trustlines Foundation website. You can just go to Etherscan, go to the contract address of the Merkle drop, and then go to the withdraw feature, and that should work. Okay, that's it from my side. If there are no questions, then
Yes, looks like that's about it then. So, um, for those who don't know, we will be doing these community goals every month, the second Friday of each month. We currently we seem to be having some buffering issues with the video that will also be corrected for the next one. So join us then. Make sure to post more questions at the forum if you feel like you have something you want to know, and we will answer those. So thank you